are on the second shoot of the day. I typically only do one newborn shoot a day, mainly because the newborn shoot can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and so I like to really be at 110% energy for the duration of the shoot, and so I just find that it keeps me a little bit more balanced to just keep it at one shoot a day. This baby is a little bit more fussy, and so rather than starting with from the very beginning of the posing order, I'm going to actually jump ahead to the bottoms up pose, which is at the end of the order. However, the great thing about this is that babies really enjoy being on their stomach, and since the bottoms up pose starts with them on their stomach, it kind of gives them time to like really calm down, really fall into that deep sleep, and then I can take it from the very beginning of the posing order. So I'm about to grab baby, so let's get some white noise on here. I am going to take my posing throw, roll it up just a little bit. For this pose, for the bottoms up pose, it is going to go perpendicular to me, and then obviously parallel to my light source. Okay. I really like adding a little bit of variation, especially if I'm going to go back and do the same poses within the same session. And this is definitely easy to do by adding some layering blankets, switching up the hats, the props, and stuff like that. It also creates some really cool textures, which you know, parents love. Okay. All right, so he is going to be placed kind of right here in the middle of this layering blanket. And to start the bottoms up pose, I'm going to take this arm right here and place it against the side of his cheek. And then I'm going to place him on his belly. His legs are going to kick out under him. And I'm not going to really worry about placing them right now. I'll first make sure his hands are positioned. This backhand here, I just like to make sure it's folded so nothing is getting smashed, but we're not even going to see it, so you can kind of leave that alone. This hand is just tucked under his chin. I do like to see some fingers, and then we'll fine tune where his elbow should be, but let's go ahead and then work on his legs. So the one thing with this pose, people ask me, you know, how do you pose girls and boy babies differently? And really the only thing that you need to be more careful about with boys is hiding all of their parts. So for the bottoms up pose, the only thing you really need to make sure you're doing is just really tucking in anything that should be tucked in, because we are going to see this bottom area. So for this pose, this back leg is the leg that needs to be on top. And that is definitely crucial to getting the pose how we like it. So if you can see where I am at now, this is where a lot of beginners start. And there's a couple of very easy adjustments that really take the pose so that it looks a lot better in the camera. So the first thing that we want to do is we really want to create these back rolls. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and lift up his head. And that's going to squinch him up a little bit. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just take his bottom, and I'm going to pull his elbow out and twist his body in. So if you don't see that the knee is touching the elbow, you're not twisted far enough. Again, this pose is great because baby's on his stomach, and it's just very calming for them. There's no way that they can feel that flying effect. If baby is on their side or on their back, baby's reflexes are that they just kind of will flail their arms up and their legs will flail. Their reflexes just aren't completely developed, and so that is, and they're not used to really having all that open space to just kind of fly around in. You know, they've been wrapped up in the womb for so long that they're used to being super snug. And so that's what's great about this pose. There's no space for them to really flail their arms in the air. So we are pretty good here. We've got some nice back rolls here. His bottom's in the air. and we can see his great little face. So, as we're shooting a little bit later in the day, it's a little bit darker in here, so the only adjustments I'm going to make is just to kick up my ISO a little bit. So I'll just take a test shot and see where we're at. And so I'm at about 500 versus I was around 200 or so this morning. Again, I'm not at all scared to do that because if there is any grain, I can go ahead and knock that out when I'm retouching. So in addition to that straight-on shot, I love shooting this one from the top so you can actually see his little body curved. I'm still shooting really down on him though because you obviously don't want to get too far from this angle so we see too much bottom, but really I'm just seeing, again, this curve here and these rolls and then his little fingers popping out. And then the last shot that I definitely get for this pose is I go in really tight and I crop off his bottom here, and I'm really just focusing on these rolls right here and then his sweet face. So sweet. Okay.